morning, everyone.
Morning.
Ayakum Allah, first of all, in our Majlis. Welcome to the second generation World Majlis. My name is Iman Al-Amrani. I'm the Deputy Chief Technology Officer at Expo 2020. And I must say it will be an absolute honor for me to host today's second conversation on technology with heart and mind. At Expo 2020, first of all, I know that a lot of you were excited sitting in a round position. Amira, you mentioned it's the first time that I sit in a place where I get to see everybody's face. And this is where dialogue and conversations actually take place. So the whole purpose of the Majlis is for us to have this open and honest conversation, respecting one another, respecting ideas that will come in. And I know that I've heard the audio voices, and I heard passion in every single one of them. So I'm looking forward to start off this conversation with my colleagues, both Sarah and Maryam, whom I'm going to hand over to. And of course, looking forward to start this conversation with you. So welcome.
So following up to Iman's point, we're going to start with the guidelines of this conversation. I want you to remember one thing. This is your conversation. So whatever that you bring into this conversation is completely yours. We want to invite your thoughts, your opinions, your honest opinions. So this could be an awkward, silent moment, or it could be a productive conversation with all of you.
Yeah, so the topic that you spoke about earlier in your voice recording, so that's the topic we're covering, which is technology with mind and heart. Okay. There will be different questions and different ideas shared by everyone, and so you can feel free to build upon them whenever you have something to add. Okay?
All right, so we listened to all of your recordings, and through your recordings, we discovered 3 main themes that you covered in your recordings. And these 3 main topics are technology and creativity, technology and human interactions, and also technology with environment and health. So we're going to try to get in touch with all of these topics with all of you, but we're going to start with a prompt. So I'm going to share with you a question. I want you to think about it, internalize it a little bit for a few seconds, and then when you're ready to share your answer, you can start the conversation and we'll take it forward from there. Okay? So the prompt is, what does technology mean to you?
Okay, so I'm thinking that you asked what technology means to us, right? So I think that technology is the bridge that connects humans to scientific investigations. It made people's lives easier, efficient, it saved us more time. There's many ways we can think of it, and there's not really... You can say that humans develop technologies, making it more easier in our lives. We've seen so many examples with the phone in the communication method, so I think that it's a bridge. It's a connection tool that we use in life.
I'd like to add that technology is something that you can use as you can use it as a pathway to channel anything that you can't channel in the world. Like any ideas that you have, technology can express that, and it's a playing field for anyone to use their ideas and do whatever they want with it.
But I feel at the same time, technology brings a bipolar duality to it, because whilst we do agree that technology has brought so many radical improvements to today's society, technology also brought war in a new scale. Technology brought social media addiction, and technology is, in my opinion, one of the greatest conflicts in today's society.
I will totally agree with him. The technology right now we have is destructive. The nuclear weapons and the different other type of weapons that are also part of the technology that are causing lots of disturbance in the world. And I think the technology is making the humans more lazier than before. The people in the past used to be hard workers. Right now they're already dependent on the technology only. So yeah, I think it is destructive right now.
So I believe that, well, Bill Gates once said, we're changing the world with technology. The question is, are we letting it control us, or are we controlling it? So one might say that technology is the king, like he previously said in a statement, and man is a slave. However, if a man is competent enough, then he can manipulate the king to its benefit. So you can use technology to your benefit. The way you use it changes everything.
A lot of people talk about how technology makes you lazy, but I read an interesting article recently that said technology was born out of the need to become lazy, right? So everything that we created in the name of technology was so that we could be lazy. So it's not that technology is making us lazy, it's more we want to make ourselves lazier. So the question isn't, oh, we should stop using technology or we should stop becoming dependent. The question really is, when we have all of this technology, how are we going to adapt to this change? How are we going to find new things to work towards, new goals to pursue?
So, in my opinion, as Amir said, technology, we can manipulate the king, right? Technology, in my opinion, is a tool that helps us pushes humanity further into the future for better causes, and to also send humanity to colonize different planets, etc., also out of our solar system. Not only that, technology can be conflicted if it lands in the wrong hands. If it's in the wrong hands, then it could be a problem. For example, let's get in the wrong hands, someone creates an extremely devastating device that could severely damage humanity, then that could be a problem. But if we control it properly and not let it get into the wrong hands, we can push ourselves into the future and help our youth as well.
As a view of a student, I would like to add that technology has affected the critical thinking of students in a way. And also, like as Bard just said, that it should be in the right hands. So technology, like they should not like just completely stop using it, but it should be used wisely and like kind of reduce the use like currently in the world.
So can I just follow up to your comment? You started with as a student. I'm interested to hear, how did you see technology help you, or the opposite of it, not help you as a student?
So like as in helping, it has definitely saved our time, because as we are growing, like the level of study is increasing, and so we are really busy with all homeworks and all that. So it saves our time. Like we get an easy answer when we need an answer to something, but it also affects us because we are not thinking in it a lot, and we're just like, anything we see, we just oh my god, this is the answer related to that, and we just like copy and like that's it. But then like we're not actually making ourselves creative, and like we're not thinking it through, and we're not like reading what we're writing. That happens a lot. So.
I'd like to elaborate on Ward's point. Ward said that if technology is in the wrong hands, it could be used in the wrong way, right? But the problem is that technology is in everyone's hand. It's not only in the wrong hands, it's literally in everyone's hand. So the thing is, I've seen parents make their children put away technology, take away their phones, take away their devices, right? That's not going to keep them away from using the internet and technology. This is going to give them a more drive to like use technology in the wrong way. If we educate our youth on how to use it, the tools and the elements of internet and technology, that could benefit us in the long run. Instead of preventing people from using it, we should provide education for everyone on how to use technology. Technology is an educative tool, but how to use it itself is a huge part of technology itself.
I'd like to say that thank God for the technology and the internet access that we have, because a lot of nations don't have the right to internet access. So we can't really say that everyone has access to internet. They have the right to access to internet, but not many have it. And I believe that with technology, we can connect everyone, breaking this digital divide that we are experiencing in this world today. It is the bridge that connects us with everyone. Why did the Expo was held? Everyone know Expo 2020's meaning. It's a global fair. We're connecting the minds. We're creating the future. So by using technology, everyone is here, standing with me at this moment. We're all sharing ideas. How did we start this? We registered online. How did we use it? There are simple things, simple factors make us here today, standing here, talking about technology and its bridge.
The problem with technology is that as we start to use it more and more, we begin to lose more and more. We begin to lose our humanity. Like, let's say we do go to Mars, and it's an amazing technological feat, but what about us at home? What about the big divide between the rich 1% and the poor 99%? What about the African nations which are in disrepair? And if we are able to connect to every single person on this world, sure, it's an amazing idea. Sure, it's an amazing precedent of what technology can do. But what are we saying to them? We can't lose our morals and we can't lose our ethics.
I feel like we are going back and forth a lot with how technology help us versus how technology also harm us. But what I'm struggling to find, which is a common definition of what technology is, because technology, as you mentioned, Yusuf, it could be about nuclear weapons and etc. But it also could be social media. It also could be online registration. So, what does technology mean to you, and what technology is helpful for us?
I believe that technology is a tool. So using this tool, we get more ideas and we can spend less time on some things. So it helps us get access to information through databases and such, as well as getting less effort on some productivity things. So we can build houses in a much faster and much simpler way. So I believe that it's a tool and we need it to a certain point, but it's a tool, so we can live without it, but we won't be in the luxury or like the best way of life without them, the technology.
I just want to say, when we define technology, I think in one way we could say technology is a tool for change. Whether it's good change or bad change, that's up to us. And I also want to add how you talked about how technology could lead us to lose our humanity. But I think what we're trying to do right now is we're trying to hold on to something that we should let go of. That is, technology is going to change the way we are as humans, right? So, and we need to let it change us. So I talked about how in the recording, how we associate ourselves with our IQ a lot, but maybe we should start talking about EQ more, because in a world where at one point we could all have access to the same knowledge, same education, the only thing that really separates one person from the other is their emotional quotient. So we need to really pay attention to that and hone that, instead of trying to say, oh, my IQ, like instead of differentiating ourselves based on our intelligence, we should be differentiating ourselves based on our emotional intelligence.
I'm hearing from you, Irene, is that we need to be able to adapt to the technology we have today and focus on how we can improve our emotional intelligence versus our accessibility to technology.
Right, yeah.
Do you have any thoughts about this?
About the technology, actually, it's a tool. That's correct how Saeed said and Fatma. It's a tool, but we have to use it in the correct way, because there is both sides, the good way and the bad way. Me as a patient, I find that it's really a patient of diabetic. Actually, now everything turned to technology. I used to just get blood out of my fingers so I can check my sugar. Now on, only with a phone. Just a scan on my hand, and I just can get my blood glucose level, and that would help us a lot. Even in the medical side, it would help us a lot, and every side there is benefits of it, so we can use it in the correct way.
I'd like to mention a point in relation to the Expo itself, the Expo 2020. Now, the thing is, Expo used to be a tool for people to give out their ideas and their creativity and things that could change the world, right? And that used to happen every 5 years, I'm guessing, yeah. Every 4 or 5 years, I'm not really sure. But the thing is, with the internet, if I have a new device that I've built, if this is my new device, I take a picture of it and put it on the internet. It's no longer like 100 years ago where you'd have to wait 5 years to project your idea to all the people around the world. So what we need to understand is that internet is the strongest tool in the world. With Expo 2020, what we need to learn and what we need to do is advertising to help the country go up, instead of looking for tools and new creative ideas. Because creative ideas are there on the internet. If, let's say, Zayan posts a creative idea on the internet, I'll look at it and I'll have an extra idea on top of his device. And I can just go and build it, and then just post it again. Whereas 100 years ago, you'd have to wait 5 or 6 years to project your idea to people around the world.
Talking about the internet, it's also important to say that the internet everyone is viewing is only the tip of the iceberg, because the internet goes much more deeper. And you can go through the dark network and find some really shady stuff.
Exactly.
And which, although it's illegal, but people do resort to these things. So technology and internet put in these people's hand only led them to seeking these paths of shady stuff, let's say.
By the way, I'd like to add on the emotional quotient thing you're talking about, Irene. So the thing is, look, about the emotional quotient, everyone in the world should take the test for the emotional quotient. And if their score is, for example, below 60, they should not have the right to technology, for example, because they might use it in an incorrect way.
I don't think that's That's not exactly what I was trying to say, but emotional quotient can be developed, right?
Right.
So what it lets developing your emotional intelligence gives you is many things like empathy and understanding. And all of this plays into the topics that we're like discussing right now, especially to do with whether technology is for the good or the evil, right? So by training people to be empathetic, to understand, they're more mindful of what they're innovating,
And
what it could be
interactions
used
too.
for, and what to use all these technologies for. So
I think it's really interesting. We've been hearing from a lot of you that technology is definitely a tool and that it could be used for positive as well as negative. I'd like to take a step back and think about, is technology even a necessity? And how would the world look different if, let's say, we didn't have technology? And maybe I'd like to give the floor to some of the students over here to answer that question. You can take your time to think about it.
I definitely think technology is a necessity because I personally believe that it's a part of human evolution. If it not were for technology, let's say we made no technological progress at all, zero, we'd still be stuck in the days of caveman. We wouldn't be sitting in this air-conditioned building talking about whatever we're talking about today, right? And I want to go back to something Fatima mentioned earlier, which was adaptability, right? Did I get the wrong name? I'm so sorry. I have a really bad memory. Which was adaptability. Our generation is unique in the sense that technology accelerated at a very fast pace in our generation. So adaptability became a huge issue for us, whether it was for weapons of mass destruction, medicine, ease of access to information, consumer electronics. We struggle to adapt to these things because of a number of factors. The world is almost 8 billion people now, so everyone's not on the same page when it comes to technology. But if you take technology itself, it is a part of human evolution. Like the Egyptians had technology, the Greeks had technology. They were consistently developing tools to make their life easier day by day, whether it was for construction, whether it's for medicine. We still look at a lot of Greek philosophies, a lot of Greek inventions, and take inspiration from them to this day. You look at the Expo itself. We talked about earlier today how the Expo was a home to many of the innovative creations in the past, and surely will be for the future. Are we not all gathered here in that spirit of technological development? Are we not all here trying to garner that innovation?
I think that's a very important point because we are here today to define how technology is going to better our lives. I wrote down some notes. Yes, some people said it's a bridge, some people said it's a channel, some people said it is disruptive in the wrong ways, but it can be disruptive in the right ways as well. And I believe this is why we were gathering in this Majlis today, is for us to actually rethink how can we actually use technology for the better and not for us to become social media zombies like everybody was talking about earlier, right? So this is where we think social media is only one part of technology. Technology has given us so much. He's helped Imran here with his diabetics. They've helped so many people. And I think sometimes we forget where technology actually resides. At one point of time, it took us 3 weeks, 4 weeks to send a communication from one country to the other. Today it's almost instantaneous. It could have been a life and death situation that we're helping. So let's rethink and look at it again. How can we use technology today for the better? And this is where we're actually planting seeds in every single individual, that no matter how disruptive we can be to use technology in the wrong ways, how can we be disruptive in technology to use it in the right way?
Well, our country, from where I am right now, the country that we're standing in, the city that we're standing in right now, at this moment, at this second, we're in Dubai. I was born in 2003, so Dubai in 2003, or like years before, it wasn't the same. Everyone's have seen the memes. Everyone has seen the change from before and after. It rapidly changed. No one knew Dubai before. No one. Now it's a city. It's a livelihood. A lot of people are coming, visiting. With our advancements in technology, everyone's curious. They're like, okay, what's Dubai? It has affected our tourism factor greatly. You can see majority of our, let's say statistic-wise, the GDP is mostly technology, if you're looking at it this way. Like Dubai was nothing, but now it's great. it's different?
It is because they have used the technology in a way that it was built to be used. If you were to be using in a bad way, it would have been destructive. Technology is what it uses makes it. So if you use it in a bad way, it will be destructive. If you use it the way Dubai has used it, it would be really great.
And the problem with using
I can say that we can all agree that humans are the ones that decide.
Absolutely. That's the point I want to make,
How technology can be positively used or negatively used in our lives today.
So I'd like to say that using technology has its pros and cons. If we define how necessary technology is, you have to classify technology. If you're thinking about like what you were saying about the Egyptians, it helps us and it provides us better ways to make things that would actually fuel our development. But technology, I feel, is necessary up to a point. If you come to the point, like let's say you had trains. Trains were, in the olden days, trains were really useful to get from place to place. But then they invented planes. So at a point, it just turns into a matter of making things more convenient. And I feel that it's only necessary if you really see yourself using that a lot and building upon that. Like planes were never a thing, so people used to travel long times, long distances. But when planes came in and like the Hyperloops coming in, that just makes things more convenient for everyone, and everyone can get to places a lot faster. So that's one aspect of how at a point it's only necessary for its convenience, and you could say that it might not be completely necessary.
I think I'll add another example to that one, where most of you may not be aware of. So during the times when we were in school or when we had to travel abroad and live abroad away from our families, there is one simple thing that we take for granted today, which is money transfer. So money transfer at our point of time, and here we're looking at the 1990s, the amount of work that you had to do to transfer money from one country to the other is totally different than what it is today. So technology, yes, technology helped us, okay, or I shouldn't even say technology helped us. It was the bright mind of a human who actually decided that I want to facilitate the process of transferring money to my son, because as of today, it's taking me a month to transfer money to him. But today we live in a world where we literally have contactless payments, right? You can actually do a payment through your phone, through a credit card, through a piece of plastic that meant nothing earlier. That's how technology can be used. I mean, we also need to remind ourselves where technology is that we have taken for granted and we completely forgot about. Most of you are impacted by the videos that you see. At one point of time, we used to see videos on a Betamax tape. And if that tape got cut, we were never able to see that video again. Even if it meant you were not able to see Tom and Jerry again, right? Today, you've got it literally on your computer screens. So going back to the point where it's the human mind who drives how good technology can be and how bad technology can be. And it is a choice at the end of the day, what you decide to do with the technology that's been made available to each one of you today.
And I feel like adding on to that, the more you advance technology, the more technology advances you. Like Armin was saying, if somebody else makes a technological advancement, you would think about that and how you could improve that. So every time you change technology, technology also changes you, but it can be for the better or the worse. So every time technology is improved, the human development is also improved.
Can I also ask a very quick question that I'd love to hear maybe before the end of the session, because we talk a lot about values, what is our responsibility in terms of using technology. What worries me is that technology is becoming more and more complex. And it's not only a responsibility in terms of using technology, but also in terms of understanding technology. Understanding how it works, understanding its impact in all different ways. So I don't know how many somebody is going to say, do you really understand the internet? So the question also that I would like at some point for us to address is, what is our responsibility in the future to really understand how technology works? Because then you can actually use it properly if you understand the physics, if you understand the mechanics, if you understand the biology, whatever deep science is beyond some of the technology that today we don't see it anymore because we have so many layers of intelligence that we may become lazy in the way we do things, but we should never become lazy in terms of understanding how things work.
I just like to say there's a big difference between technology and the internet. Technology is a thing that enhances the way we live. It is mainly like an invention that helps us live faster, helps us live better. Technology can help us live in ways that we never thought before. Technology can help us in medicine, like robotic surgery, or in ways like the Janiki Omni processor in Africa, funded by Bill Gates. Technology is amazing and we control it. However, the internet is a destructive thing that has way too much power in and of itself. Businesses can get shut down by the internet. The internet is more the destructive thing, while technology is more of the thing that humans control and that humans create something that can actually help us.
I'd like to add on that about the how do you call it, the internet. How it's very destructive. It's a endless pool of information that anyone can access, which is actually more destructive because technology is we use data in order to create technology for it to be more convenient for us and to advance humanity in general. But the internet is an extremely deep pool of information that literally anyone in the world can access for essentially free. You have to go to, for example, to a library like how we did back then to get information, or you'd have to pay for books to get information anymore. It's all free. Just go to the internet, type on Google, how do you do this, that. So,
and that's the problem with the internet, is that everyone can access it, and the problem with technology is that it's so unregulated. Someone in America can buy a gun, and if you've got a malicious teenager in one part of the world, they can indirectly cause the suicide of someone else in another part of the world, and it's just like that. It's free, it's simple, and it's convenient, and it's a time we live in where we actually have to start considering whether technology should be given in its full form to every citizen of the world.
I'd like to say that, as you said, that internet is a destructive place and technology is the way to live faster. Yes, technology is the way to live faster, but you see that internet is the way we learn. You said that we have to understand the physics behind the technology that we use nowadays. It's so advanced. We can't understand it just looking at it, can we? No. So we have to use the internet wisely to understand how to use this technology, this piece of technology that we've just recently made, and it's so complex we can't understand it just by looking at it. So you have to say that if internet isn't just a disastrous place or destructive, so you have to use it properly. Just as we've said countless times over here, wisely, use it wisely.
I think the way to use technology in the right way is that we should incorporate moral education on every subject that we learn, because moral education, it will help you know what is right and what is wrong, and we could use technology more in a better way that could benefit all of us.
I believe with technology that we will see newer advancements in the future that will furthermore enhance our lives, change it. As we said, there are benefits, there are negatives, but I believe the benefits outweigh the negatives in a sense. And so it's also, or even explore that so many questions that we were looking the answers for, promoting research in various fields that range from astrophysics, if anyone wants to enter astrophysics, genetics, even medicines. So there are countless examples that we have been provided that with technology, like Amran previously said, with diabetes, it helped him. It also helped my mom. It helped so many elderly, youngsters, anyone of all ages. It helped them. We can see this in so many hospitals nowadays, and it made our lives so much better. That's what I believe.
I definitely believe technology is the way forward. However, there are side effects that we must consider, especially the psychological impacts as well. I talked about social media in my audio recording, and I think especially the girls, I don't know about the guys, but we do have apps that we use to enhance our photos, to correct some blemishes. And I think at this age, especially for young teenagers, kind of having the ability to do that can be extremely damaging on your well-being and on your confidence. And looking at these photos and on Instagram and on Snapchat, looking at using filters and everything, we seem to think like we strive to be a perfect version of ourselves. That is not true, because we just keep editing these photos, photoshopping these photos. And I think in that sense, so technology can be damaging if we don't use it in the right way. And if we get carried away and we don't remind ourselves that this is what we see on social media might not actually be 100% accurate.
Like, I just want to add to that. That's why we have to be mindful as creators. And that's why I kept mentioning how, you need to understand the world around you, right? And that with that thought, you need to create. So when you create technology, when you think of innovating something, you need to be mindful of the impacts. And that's where educating the youth on emotional intelligence is going to come handy, because that will tell them what consequences their actions and their thoughts are going to have. So the way forward to ensure that technology is used in the right way is by educating our youth. It's by telling them that here's what you need to work on. And it's not just you need to know, not just like knowing how it works, but it's also knowing how it works and how it can be used.
Another problem with technology, especially internet and the social media, is we need to clear the stigma that it's infallible, that everything you read online is the truth, because it's a big problem in today's society where we see a world online and we take it to be the truth. And these fake world events lead to real decisions like the 2016 presidential election, like Brexit, like everything. And what you have is you have fake news and you have people who are maliciously spreading lies, leading to stuff like murder and to stuff like political distress, and that's a problem in today's society.
We'll go back to that point. I want to also go back to the point that Zainab mentioned about how technology is affecting our health, our well-being, and our self-image. And I just want to lay down an observation that I just made in the conversation. We talk about technology as if we're separated from it. We keep saying, you see technology in that way. We need to educate the youth. We are the youth. So I want you to internalize that every single one of us in this room is affected by technology. And I want to continue the conversation with a prompt. I want to explore with you how technology is affecting you. You as Jawad, you as Irene, how is it affecting you personally? How is it affecting your health and well-being?
It is affecting me personally in a negative way because I'm just obsessed with the mobile. I use it a lot, and when it comes to the Wikipedia, the internet, we are using it in a negative way. And as here Saeed has also mentioned that we are going to the sites that we should not visit. But as a teenagers, we are curious to see things which are forbidden, which are not allowed to be seen. We teenagers go through those things and we want to see them. So I think that is how it is affecting me and maybe all the teenagers down there negatively. It is affecting it negatively.
And if I could add, personally for me, I honestly have no social media. So most of what I see on the internet is from websites that I read. So I think that humans also who use social media and most of the people who have access to technology have sort of lost the ability to think critically and analyze what they're seeing. Like Zainab was saying about the fake photos and things like that. People don't really think when it comes to the internet, they just believe what's there, like fake news, as Jawad was saying. So, like, if you Google something, because now that's a verb, that's how much we use the internet. So if you Google something, like if you're doing research, probably the first thing you see, oh yeah, that's probably right. So if you don't have that connection, like that integrated connection to technology, like with social media, you can sort of limit yourself and understand what you're doing before you do it. So I feel like that's quite helpful.
I disagree with that point because if you never see social media, your point was they will lose the ability to be critical and to see what's fake and what's not. It's actually the opposite. If they see all these fake things and then they can differentiate them for themselves, then they will know when something's fake and when something's not. But if they never ever see anything that's fake or anything that's real, then when they do get something, they won't be able to differentiate the difference between the two.
I just wanted to add something to my friend Zainab. She was talking about the fake pictures. So not everything seems to be real could be real. So most of the things that seems to be real could be fake. and the things that seems to be fake could be real. So how are we sure to know? So not everything we see on social media is real. So we have to be very careful when we are using the social media. And also, we have to teach the next generation about how to be responsible when they are using their social media accounts.
I believe, as we've previously said, the next generation is us. And I want to refer back to the question on how did technology affect me? I also, as long with my school studies, I've been using an online course. It's like a Harvard course, so you could see Harvard lectures. Obviously, Harvard is in the USA, so I can't just travel thousands of miles and stuff. So I could get access to that course, learn about new courses that I'm very interested into, like justice, for example. So I was saying that, okay, I'm learning new things, I'm experiencing different things. So you see how I used it? You see the difference? Is that if you used it right, you can get where I reached. I reached something that I didn't expect beforehand that I would reach there. I learned about this new course. I'm like, okay, it changed me.
You said if you used it right, but not everyone uses it in the right way. Like sometimes I just research on the internet about my assignments and the questions that my teachers give, and I can get the answer directly there and copy and paste. There are also apps, I think, like Photomath, and my classmates use it. They can just scan it and there will be answers, and they don't practice the math problems, and the purpose of giving assignments is totally useless because the students don't even learn.
The problem with social media is I feel it's bringing a certain disconnected aspect to our youth. Every week when I go to a party, I'll bring a pack of cards, and whenever I go into a party, everyone's on their phone. No one's actually doing anything social. And you look around at break time, at lunchtime, whenever people are out, they're never more than a meter away from their phone, and they're always looking at their phone. And despite the fact we've become so social on Instagram and Snapchat, we've got followers, we've got 100 snap streaks and stuff like that. We are sardonically becoming less and less social in real life, and we're losing out in those real friend and romantic relationships which really matter.
My group hangouts, sometimes we put our phones in the middle, like when we're eating, and we say like the first one to pick up their phone would like have to pay like for like part of the meal or whatever. So I think we talk about raising awareness as fighting the negatives of social media or technology, but I think we need to do more than just raising awareness and put some actions into what we're saying. So you can go on like social media cleanses or like quit social media for at least a day or two and then try it out and see how that goes, and maybe go for a week and maybe even months after that. There are definitely positives to social media. For example, there's this app, it's called Forest, and you download it and it tracks when you're not on your phone. And the longer you are off your phone, like they plant a tree and you can track the tree and everything. Like it's environmentally friendly and it's helping you get off your phone as well. And
I'd like to add on to Zainab's point. She made a point earlier in her statement that we need to look at why is technology being used in a bad way. Because let's say a building, right? The base is the most important part, or a tree. The root is the most important part of a tree, right? And that's the thing with the internet. All we're talking about here is internet is this, internet is that, internet is this, internet is that. But what we need to look at is who is using it in a bad way. Because we're all educated here, right? We're all sitting here having a good conversation about the internet. But what we need to look at is why is it being used in a bad way by certain people, right? Now, we need to research that. I mean, research is already being done according to this. We need to set up things. For example, kids who spend a lot of time on the internet and not activities. Like I was blessed. I played football in my youth. I still play football. That takes up quite a lot of my time. But ever since I've been injured, I've spent that amount of time on the internet. Now, when you spend time on the internet, you usually go on the internet looking for something useful, right? But then you go into the deep roots of YouTube and looking at videos which they just don't make sense. Like, why am I sitting here watching this? It's just a waste of time, right? And you often come across certain things that aren't quite good for you, and I've come across them. I think that if we educate or if we find activities that can take up quite a lot of our youth's time, we'll never go towards these type of things. And research says that whatever a student or a child does till the age of 18, that sticks with him or her for the rest of their life, right? So these 18 years are the most important 18 years that we're supposed to educate the kids and the children.
Rania, did you want to add anything before we get to closing? Yeah, go ahead.
So I think the internet, for example, YouTube and this kind of stuff, like you watch something you really like and you need to try, like stop watching it and try to go and do whatever you watch. For example, I watched some survival videos or like stuff like that, and I tried, me and my dad, we went out and we stayed for like until like 4 a.m. or something like that outside as a survival thing, but it's not really like that. And myself, I'm addicted to Twitter. So I'll be like, oh, I'll close it. I won't open it for like 3 hours or so. And in 5 minutes, I find myself using it. And I don't think that's really a good thing for myself or for any other person.
Pretty sure a lot of us could agree to that, and we probably have our own internet addictions.
So can we practice our discipline so we can cure this problem?
Yeah, like absolutely. So that's exactly the question that I'd like to end off with. So a lot of us here have been talking about the importance of educating the youth, but not just the youth. I think old people need it too, like, you know. So it's about educating toward the use of technology. So what we'll do now is we'll go around. Please feel free to share any final thoughts that you may have, but also try and answer the question, which is, what does that education look like? Is it a textbook that you create that nobody wants to read? Is it an activity that you come up with? What does that education for proper use of technology look like? And we'll start off with Sufyan and we'll go around the room. You can take a few minutes to think about it if you need to.
No, it's all right. I have a few thoughts. I think majority of the people in this room share a similar sentiment when it comes to the use of the internet, to be specific, social media to be specific, right? And I'm willing to play the devil's advocate here. I'm just going to ask one question, is if someone wants to take their social lives, their human experience online, if that's where they wish to live, what's really wrong with that? Like, I personally find it really convenient that I do not have to talk to someone in person. I don't have to have that kind of an awkward interaction, because sometimes I'm socially awkward. I don't really feel like talking to someone. I'll just leave you a message. You know, what's the homework? What are we doing in class today? I don't want to come over to your house. So, I mean, sometimes it's just more convenient. And if someone wants to live their lives online, as she said, she's addicted to Twitter, quote unquote, addicted to Twitter. What's wrong with that? I mean, if she chooses to express her opinions online rather than sit with a group of friends who might talk over her, might not really let her talk, I mean, I don't really see an issue with that. I mean, I feel like there's an outrage culture being promoted online and in real life. It's like, it's kind of encouraged to be outraged by something, whether it's social media, whether it's any kind of current event. And I just think that it's better to look at how something might seem like a negative to you, but it might be convenient for someone else. Yeah, that's what I would want to end on.
I think that now kids, for example, 6-year-olds or so, they are watching videos and stuff like that. You could find one watching Spider-Man versus Batman or something like it. And I think you can start by teaching these kids. For example, they look up to someone on whatever they like, YouTube, I guess. They look up to someone on YouTube, and that person can show them that they don't need to put all their time and waste it on social media and whatever they're using. They can go out and have some fun and like do stuff they like.
I have a big example for example, my brother, he's 6 years old, and he's just like 24/7 on Fortnite. He's playing Fortnite like all the time, and in his free time, he's just like watching TVs of Fortnite on YouTube. So he's either on playing Fortnite or watching YouTube about Fortnite. So I think the first is it's just like he's crazy. He's all the time on in his PlayStation. So I think the first tip we should do is make him away from Fortnite and internet and YouTube. Just I think it's a big distraction when he's studying. He's not studying like all the time. He's just in Fortnite. So I think the first step, we should increase the awareness about the negative effects of social media or the video game. And then I think we don't have to trust anybody on social media. So in my opinion, I think we have to think before acting anything online, and also we don't have to trust anything online because not everything seems to be real, could be fake.
Firstly, I think we should be thankful for the technology that we do have and the way that it is going, because it definitely is the future. And secondly, I do want to talk about dialogue is probably the most important way to counteract the dangers of technology. Definitely through talks, and in schools, they do play a huge role. So a school can offer like because at my school we have like 30-minute electives, like a club, and we can just discuss the issues of technology and the pros and cons on it. So definitely it is a positive, but as long as we use it in moderation and we don't lose touch of like the human side to it as well.
Okay, so I want to say how, like she said, if teachers and parents take care and make sure that all kids are doing something or using technology in the right way, because that will help them in the future, because now we're building stuff that is really affecting our future and it will become even more advanced in the future. So we should all take care of what we're watching and how we're using technology, because it will really affect our future.
So from my last thoughts that I say, the first thing you have to do in the morning, don't touch the phone or don't touch any technology for the first 45 minutes. Put a plan for your day. Grab a book with you, any book, fiction or non-fiction. Just then you will go to the school or the weekdays or the weekends. So any day after school, after classes, you have a break. I'm sure that everybody in his schools has a breaks. So since I'm injured, I can't go back to the playground. So in this time, I used to improve my knowledge with grabbing a book and reading it. So that time, you can improve your discipline and you can just move away from technologies, especially that nearly some of the schools just use technologies as a resource for learning. So some students, so they use it. So we need to be away from it and using more books so we can improve our knowledge, so we can use the technology in a good way. And we need to improve our discipline with some good activities that attempts to that. So thanks.
All right, I'll just have a few final thoughts. First of all, thank you so much for this space and for sharing your thoughts with us and being very interactive. I loved how you were talking to each other and not waiting for me or Sarah or anyone to ask a question. I do believe that dialogue is a really effective way to not necessarily find a solution, but to explore a topic that is very important to us. I know for me, myself, one thing that I will be leaving with today is wondering what does raising awareness about technology look like and how we can start implementing.
With my final thoughts, in my opinion, in order to control people's technology addiction, is to put a time restraint on technologies. For example, on all devices, for example, a phone, you can install an app which basically limits the time for specifically apps like, for example, games. Let's say Candy Crush. That's a very old game, but very addictive. Let's say you can only play half an hour on that, but you have no time restraint on Google specifically for research, etc. But for other games, we can put a time restraint, especially for little kids, because as soon as they go, for example, play Fortnite, they continuously stick to it for the next 7 hours. Like my little brother. My little brother plays as soon as he's bored of Fortnite, goes to the TV. Okay, let me just watch more Fortnite, because that's not really good for him and not very good for his retina either. So yeah, that's my final thought.
I just want to say that UAE is doing a great job in raising awareness about the use of technology, because we have this subject called moral education, and I know that you do know it, right? Yeah. Okay, yes. Because we have these debates and we have these activities that we also, we have the debate that technology versus tradition, about that. And our teacher also teaches us on what is right and what is wrong, and how to regulate our time on technology. And I think that if we use this more time to educate children, to educate us, and also to let our parents engage in how to control their children on how to use technology, we could use technology in the best way, that is in a good way.
My final thoughts are, you see, technology is everywhere. It's like such a huge part of everything, our economy. It's like, it's become a ritual of sorts, like waking up and brushing your teeth. So we can't exclude it, but the way to educate us to protect ourselves from the harm is to not tell us, because you'll have to do it very slowly, very steadily, and just censor everything that is bad for us. And you can't tell us, because you see 6-year-olds or 16-year-olds, they won't get it. We will rebel. Oh my, no, you're stealing this from us. You're stealing this from our lives. So I believe we'll have to encourage them that, no, this is the right way, and this will bring on this good for us after you've censored the harm in it. So I believe that moral education that Dubai has integrated in all our subjects is the best way to do that. So that's my final thought. Thank you.
Some people were talking about how YouTube was really addicting. The thing about YouTube is it is a business. It's made to make money. Its algorithm is designed to recommend videos that would interest people so it can make more money. If we can educate people through perhaps a detox movement and spreading people's awareness that YouTube's main goal is to get more viewers hooked on YouTube, which therefore means more revenue, this can help slow down the drive and addiction towards the internet and social media. But merely telling people to put phones down is not enough. They must understand it for themselves and make that decision for themselves.
There are thousands of addiction programs worldwide, from everything from drugs to alcohol to anything in the world you can imagine. It's very easy to get hooked on something and addicted. And they all have diametrically opposed structures and underlying themes, but every addiction program starts with accepting and acknowledging that you need to change. I'm putting up the point here that it doesn't really matter how we kick out technology addiction. I believe that so long as there is a genuine desire from our hearts that we know, and an actual acknowledgement that we know we are addicted to social media, we are addicted to the internet, we are addicted to technology, we will change that. And the method doesn't really matter. It just starts with, to enact a change, we just need to acknowledge that we need one.
I really wanted to talk about globalization and how it really affected our use of technology. So us being globalized and getting information and technology from around the world, not only social media, but we became more innovative and convenient, and everything was faster. But now there are many disadvantages and drawbacks to technology. But who defines these? I'm sorry to confuse you. Like, what do you know is bad? What is fake? I've seen a video of Vladimir Putin speaking English, even though he speaks more Russian. But turns out, no, it was creatively edited. So it was professionally edited in a way that Vladimir Putin started speaking English. So like deepfakes and so on are very interesting, although they are like an issue. So you're gonna get much things which are wrong. Otherwise, there are many countries which censor technology. That's because they have their own laws. But how far can you go to censor the things that are wrong? Like, to what extent? Like, I think one of you mentioned emotional intelligence. How are we gonna embed that into everyone? And even if we teach them that, how do we expect them to use that in their real life? The technology, we made it a necessity, even though it was like not initially necessary, but like we made it necessary from ourselves. It removed time restraints and it made everything more convenient. So like, to confuse you even more, what is ethical, what is real, what is fake? So let's say, okay, basically you cannot download or use streaming services which are free, because which are intended to be paid. So let's say you get Netflix movies for free, but you're supposed to pay the subscription. Is that wrong? Some people would say yes, because you're not paying the company's money. But other people find it okay, and it's not censored in many countries.
So my final thoughts are that if you want to educate people about technology, you need to go back to the root of the problem. Why are people compelled to use technology? Like, I'm sure everybody here has seen 6-year-olds sitting in prams on an iPad that is solely for them, watching, I don't even understand. It's the amount of content that is out there is ridiculous. And to understand why people are compelled to that technology will help us change that. So let's say somebody's addicted to social media because they want to know everything about their friends and everybody across the world. You need to explain to them that that's not right and that's not necessary because you have your own world and you have real people that you can interact with. And it varies with every person who wants to use any technology. So convenience, that's a different issue, but if someone's addicted to technology, you need to find out why and then use reason to explain to them that that's not necessary and most of technology addiction is not a good thing and why.
I'd like to start my final thoughts on today's Majlis by saying that the first question today was, what does technology mean to me? And I like how, although all of us talked and gave out creative ideas, we all talked about how technology is to us by giving out our ideas, because we don't come from the same house. We all come from different houses, different cultures, different ethnicities, and we get different ideas, right? This is very important. I made a couple points which kind of summarizes everyone's. Internet is the world's Expo in today's world. Communication is the strongest tool, and through it we can help the future generations by planting seeds in our youth's mind. Planting good seeds, not bad ones. Then we should also do this. I've noticed bad things and harmful things seem cool. Why is it that doing bad and committing sins is cool? We should totally move away from that. That's another thing. Discipline and time management are very important with the internet when considering detoxing and relaxing. Make a 1-hour majlis compulsory for the country, for every school. 1 hour for every class during the week, where everyone sits and pitches their ideas. Where I got very different ideas today from every one of you. I came here with a different mindset, and I'm leaving with a different mindset. And work with the internet like it's your caring friend, not your friend that just wants to waste your time. And experience is very important. When we talk with children and tell them, oh, internet is bad, we shouldn't just tell them internet is bad. The kid goes like, okay, it's bad. we should tell them what it's done to me, like how I've wasted my time instead of studying for my exams and I've spent it doing nonsense. We should always talk about our experience. These are my final thoughts.
Okay, so to conclude this majlis, I would like to say is that, we need to give education to the children and as well to the adults that this is technology. In this way, if you will use it, it will be beneficial. And in this way, if you use it the other way, it will not be beneficial. So education is very necessary. That doesn't mean to add one more subject to the school curriculum that nobody would like. But it would be like through social media and through the newspapers and through advertisement, you can say and you can convey your message that in this way, if you are using the technology, it will be good for you. And if you use it, or probably say if you abuse it, it will be bad for you. Now, I have seen many advertisement boards on the Dubai roads which are giving such messages, which is really good. And coming to the point that Hassa and Saeed, they were making about Fortnite and PUBG and stuff, I think there should be restriction to such games. The government should do something for that, because it's a serious point. We are right now laughing on that thing that my 6-year-old, my 5-year-old brother is using Fortnite. What will be the outcome? That he will have many problems in the future. He might have health problems. His eyesight might be affected as well. So I think there should be restriction on such games, which leads you to overuse it. To conclude my point, that is what I want to say. The restriction should be made on such games, and education should be given on the use and abuse of the technology. Thank you.
Actually say something just very quickly, because I've actually learned a lot, and I'm one of those mothers that would like to take the iPad away from the daughter, and I will not do it again. But the idea, what I'm getting out, and it's really interesting that some of you are saying, this is about measured choices that I make, as Sufyan says, what's wrong with it, versus, others says, no, this is an addiction. And I would like to see it more as, trying to be active about any technology we understand. And being active means understanding why and understanding how. And as Yusuf, you're saying, there's motives behind you too, why they're trying to make money. And a lot of these companies are trying to make money, and their interest is maybe not aligned with your interests. So critical thinking and critical understanding is really important, but also looking at technologies beyond the internet, because technology is also about drones delivering medicines, it's about robots trying to, remove landmines, it's about, big data that may be predicting a tsunami and saving lives. So the more we understand, the more we can controlling alongside with the values that we instill. Because the worry is that if we are passive, at least that's my worry, if we are passive and technology is becoming increasingly complex, there will only be less and less people that will be able to build it, will be able to control it, and will be able to promote it. So it's more about what is our responsibility to learn and to understand.
I want to start off by saying that we have bad and good sides and negative and positive opinions or thoughts about technology, and we choose what we want to do. Like, a lot of people these days rely on their iPads and their phones and their laptops for research. Now, why don't you go to the library and do a research from a book? Why does it always have to be technology that we rely on? Why can't we rely on the people around us, the environment? Why can't we go discover stuff on our own? We search for stuff online, whether they're good or bad, without thinking about the effects they're going to give us. Now, I want to say that thousands of years ago, people didn't have as much resources as we do. Yet their knowledge went above ours. And if you guys, I'm guessing all of you know about this, ancient Egyptians built the pyramids thousands of years ago, and the pyramids are still stable and they're still in the exact same position. And we build a lot of buildings, yet they fall after 10 years or whatsoever. I've seen a lot of moms who give their phones to their children just to make them quiet. Now, why couldn't you just sit with your daughter or your son and spend some time with them instead of giving them a device that they could use for granted in a lot of bad situations? You could spend a lot of time with your child rather than just giving them a device that could destroy their lives. And I also want to add that there's a dark web. I'm sure you've all heard about this. It could destroy a lot of companies. It could destroy countries. It could destroy people. A lot of people have committed suicide because of the dark web, and they get a lot of thoughts about it from their friends and from the social media itself. When they're just, for example, on Instagram, they're like videos of people trying to go on dark web, and then they end up on the bad side, and they end up going to jail or whatsoever, and then they end up regretting what they've done in the first place.
But before I say, I just want to point out, when you talked about moms giving kids phones and stuff like that, I have a 1-year-old sister at home, so I understand why it's compelling to just have them keep quiet and give them whatever you want to give them. So I think, coming back to how we can educate, the answer is to allow access. So I believe that education works best through experience, right? So if you want someone to not be distracted while using technology, first give them the technology and let them learn how to not be distracted, right? So it can be as simple as inculcating research learning in all the subjects, right? So teachers can hand out research activities, and that way the kids will use the technology, learn how to use it right, and also learn how to differentiate between fake news and real news. So it's those simple things, but at its soul, it's all about allowing them to experience it, allowing them to use it. So it's not about boycotting. It's about living hand in hand,
So, in the end, I would say that there is no intellectual substitution here. Rather than lose our creativity and imagination, we are seeking to explore or bring it to life with technology. Technology is merely a tool that helps us create of what we think of or what we imagine. So we're going beyond our lines, beyond the borders. May it be computers with better graphic tools for animation creators, a robotic limb for amputation patients, or even safer, newer and improved transportation means, as we already know. The Hyperloop, I think, if I said it right. And also, going back to what Sufyan said, why not? Don't close the doors. Keep it open for the upcoming generations, allowing innovation to take its wing. We still have time for a new beginning. Thank you.
Okay, so I would like to kind of point out some of the points that were discussed right now on the final thoughts. First, for the point of Sufyan, where he said that he just likes to message his friends for asking, like, I don't know, schoolwork. This actually affects students, their soft skills and their communication skills, as well as their confidence for speaking, which is very important for them to develop right now at their young age, so that it will be helpful in the future. And then going back to the point of Rania and Ward, when they stated that their siblings or their brothers, they're really addicted to Fortnite. Bring the word again. Because it's basically because they get influenced by they get influenced by their own siblings. As they're young, they need that supervision of their siblings, the elder siblings. That they obviously, as they're younger, they're going to copy what their older siblings are going to do. This is the thing that is also happening in my house. Like my brother, he recently created an Instagram account, but I made him delete it because I didn't want him to fall under all that. So without like me noticing it, he created one more, and then I just caught him day before yesterday and made him delete it again. Now I don't know what's going on. So this is what happens is like right now we are all here sitting that we're educated enough to understand that we need to change ourselves so that it can influence our siblings or whatever, the young kids that are around us, so that they don't fall under the same problems or issues that we are like falling under right now, as in getting addicted to technology. So, and now I would like to point out something that each one of us can do. I know it's very lame and like schools have suggested already, but basically creating a timetable of based on hours on which you can use technology or like your gadgets, or basically managing your time management. And this is actually something like you can do yourself and stay committed to it, so that it can help you as well as influence your siblings or the kids around you to as well develop in that same environment and help them to not get addicted to gadgets or games or whatever. And then also to the point that Saeed suggested about like when people can actually get the Netflix film for free and all that. This affects like their businesses, because Netflix actually like has a subscription month, like you have to pay for it. And like when people get the movies for free, like maybe they do some hacking, some anything, and so this affects their businesses, and like it actually leads them to go down, and like people won't be using it anymore, and in the future it does affect them a lot. And yes, so that's okay. And also one more point that she suggested was like why don't people actually go and like refer for information through books, and like why just they go to Google or any other search engine for like referring for answers to some questions. This it actually does help like help environment, because books use paper, and like having online ebooks, it helps like save environment, but we can as well use recycling, the process of recycling. So I would just like to end up like saying that we need to be the bigger person here, and like we are the ones who are actually the influencers of the young mindsets right now.
I think we can all agree that technology is this generation's weapon. The weapon, humans all over the centuries always had to fight through the phase they were going through. So I think technology is the weapon we are using to fight through this generation and evolve into like superhumans or something. But I'd like to also shine a light on mental illnesses. And like 100 years ago, no one really no one understood what mental illnesses were, or like if someone had depression or anxiety or something, they would just ignore them or like don't pay them any mind. So I think technology has saved many lives because like mental illnesses are really important to humans. You have to be mentally healthy to like go on with your life. So I think technology has really helped people with these illnesses. So yeah, thank you.
In the spirit of this Majlis and in the spirit of Expo, I think we are here to connect minds and create the future. And I believe that this Majlis is actually the catalyst for that change, right? So you came in here with a mindset or of an understanding of what technology is, in mind and in heart. And I believe that the final thoughts that we heard across the board did instigate or did prove that there was a shift in mindset in understanding what technology is, whether it's a tool or whether what's been made available to you today as easy as a cup of water, right? It's there, it exists, and it all depends on how we use it. Abundance is a problem at the end of the day. Even drinking too much water for your body isn't good for you. The same goes for how we use technology. So although it's available to everybody today, it wasn't available to me when I was a young child. I had to go and open up a book and read in the encyclopedia, yes, in all those volumes to find out more about Peru. Although today, conveniently, you just write the 4-letter word in Google and it tells you everything that you want to know about Peru. It's your own choice, right? So if you are the catalyst of change, it's what you do with technology today. I'm not going to preach that you all work in the technology industry, but given where we are today with technology, I believe that every single one of you at one point of time will be engaged in a conversation that is around technology. And we hope that this conversation today, because this is the spirit of the Majlis, has given you enough to actually change the way you look at technology and change the way you perceive technology and change the way you would want to change others using technology. So if it includes the 6-year-old brother who enjoys Fortnite, maybe I should add Fortnite is a game, it's a technology that's been available today, but it's up to us humans to decide how best to use it, how best to control it. And it's all driven by the mind and by the heart, which is why we were gathered here today. So I'd like to thank everybody today, and we hope that each one of you actually goes back and thinks of how you can use technology in the best ways possible. So while Snapchat allows you to use augmented reality in a way to be a lot more animated, let's also remember that augmented reality helped doctors to see all the chambers of the heart. Thank you very much.